want to talk about this incident where a Peter Kay fan was refused entry into the O2 Arena for wearing a Free Gaza t-shirt amid fears it could cause danger and disruption in a hardline security stance, which the venue's bosses now admit was wrong. Let me give you a flavour of what happened here. A Peter Kay fan, Peter Kay the comedian, of course, was denied entry into the O2 Arena for wearing a Free Gaza t-shirt amid fears it could cause danger and disruption. It has emerged. Now, the fan and his partner, who claimed to have purchased tickets to the sold-out London gig 2 years ago, was stopped by the security at the entrance over the shirt. Officials said that this individual would need to get another t-shirt, I quote, before the pair could enter the venue, and even declined to let the man turn it inside out, saying the t-shirt would need to stay with us if you are going to change it. Now, venue staff told the couple that the O2 is not a political arena and is neutral, offering them the options of purchasing a new t-shirt from the merchandise stand or a nearby shop, or missing the show and contacting their ticket seller for a refund. Now, the fan said, "I don't want to miss the gig," suggesting that he and his partner decided to replace the t-shirt and go to the August the 10th show, although it's not shown in the footage that has been seen. Now, O2 bosses have now responded to the incident, noting that the venue's prohibited items policy bans objects that, in our reasonable opinion, could be harmful to guests. They said security had made a judgment call and got it wrong, and admitted that entry should have been granted to the couple. Now, this was really interesting because the footage recorded by the couple was shared. Well, where was it shared? I mean, you can guess. It was shared on TikTok by the Watford branch of the Palestine Solidarity Campaign, and shows how they were detained ahead of the gig. I mean, I must say, just before we get into this whole question, I do find it a little bit odd that nowadays, whenever any sort of incident happens or anyone's challenged over anything, the first thing they do is whip out their phone, or maybe they had an intention to whip out their phone in the first place. I have no idea. I'm not casting aspersions, but it seems a bit odd to me. I mean, if you're going into a venue to attend a concert or a comedy show or whatever, is your first thought to whip out your phone in case someone challenges you because you're wearing a t-shirt? It's certainly not mine, but maybe I don't get out enough. The man was wearing a black and white Free Gaza shirt. It was seen standing near the entrance of the security queue, and his partner films what she branded as a ridiculous incident and says, "Do you have any other way you can get another t-shirt to change into?" this security official asked the fan. He explains that his shirt is all I'm wearing, but the official interrupts and doubles down with, "You need to change." His seemingly frustrated partner then asks, "You can't let us into the venue because of a t-shirt?" Now, clearly, they asked him to turn. She asked if he could wear the t-shirt inside out. They said no, because he might then turn it the other way around when inside the actual gig itself. So this individual was not allowed in, and the venue organisers have said that they effectively made a mistake. They said, "We don't get every decision right, and on this occasion we made a judgment call and got it wrong." Now, for me, this is not really a conversation about t-shirts necessarily. This is a conversation around free speech at its heart, and what it means really when we are now trying to police what people wear based on slogans they may have on them, right? This is where this is going. Now, I want to ask you this question. I'm going to give you my thoughts and unpack it in a minute. Why has it become okay to tell people to leave their politics at home? Why has it become okay to tell people to leave their politics at home? 0345 6060 973, text 84850. Ask Alexa to send a comment to LBC. Now, let me just give another couple of elements to this before I give you my thoughts. Do you remember Gideon Falter, the guy from, I think, the campaign against anti-Semitism? He was roaming around in London some months ago now. You'll remember this, when he wanted to cross a pro-Gaza march and was challenged by an officer who said, "Look, you look visibly Jewish. I want to protect your safety. Don't walk across. He was also having it filmed, and there was a big hoo-ha about this. And my point was very simply, look, this is not about people not being allowed to walk where they want to in freedom around the city. This is about the police trying to do a difficult job and trying to protect people in the middle of a march where emotions are running high, right? In a similar way that they would try and prevent someone from a certain different football club going to mix with Millwall fans. Nothing against Millwall, by the way. It could be any fans of any club, but I just happen to think that that's the first one that comes to my head, given the fact that wasn't the old adage of Millwall, everybody hates us, but we don't care? Anyway, I'm making a simple point. So these things have to be managed in certain cases. In this particular case, if someone's wearing a Free Gaza T-shirt or whatever, and they're going to a comedy gig, is that really something that these security staff should have been bothered by? Now, clearly the venue has apologised, so I don't want to make this into a bigger thing than it is. But I do think it sort of strikes to the heart of where we're going as a society. And I just give you this also as another example of all of this, is that John Mason, a member of the Scottish Parliament, and this is something that Ben Kentish, my colleague, was talking about on his programme yesterday, he's been stripped of the SNP whip following an utterly abhorrent social media post, apparently, about the Israel-Hamas conflict, saying that, and I quote, "If Israel wanted to commit genocide, they would have killed 10 times as many." Now, if John Mason wants to tweet that out, and he's an MSP, and he genuinely believes that, why should he not be allowed to state that? Why should there be thought crime and thought police within his own party telling him what he can and can't say on an issue like that of whether he thinks genocide is being perpetrated in Gaza or not? I mean, I find this rather disturbing. And I also find it quite disturbing if someone wants to wear a Free Gaza T-shirt to a comedy gig. I find that a little bit disturbing as well. I mean, are we moving to a situation now where you are seeing freedom of speech curtailed, and you can only speak out if you have the right views or no views at all, or at least no views that don't offend anyone's sensibilities in a comedy gig? I mean, look, I speak as someone who believes about this and thinks about this feels very, very passionately about this. Why? Because I set up a prize in 2012 with my own hard after-tax income called the Contrarian Prize. What is the Contrarian Prize? The Contrarian Prize is a prize for people in British public life that challenge the status quo and demonstrate independence, courage, and make a sacrifice for their beliefs. This is people who go above the parapet, put their head above the parapet, to be shot, basically, because they actually believe that challenging the status quo and standing up for what they believe is more important than a quiet life, an easy life. People such as Peter Tatchell have been shortlisted for this prize. Many, many others as well. Now, think about Peter Tatchell. Free speech. I mean, what? You're going to tell him that he shouldn't try and go and do a citizen's arrest on Robert Mugabe because he believes in so many civil rights abuses and human rights abuses going on in Zimbabwe? I mean, is that what you're going to tell Peter Tatchell, who put his own life at risk and has still got brain damage to this day on the back of being kicked in the head by Robert Mugabe's bodyguards? You're going to tell this to Martin Luther, who challenged the Catholic Church by over this practice of indulgences, where you could basically pay to get absolved of your sins? Are you going to tell this to people like Malcolm X, Martin Luther King Jr., Muhammad Ali? I mean, all of these people who've challenged the status quo in various ways. You're going to tell them not to speak out. You're going to tell this to Emile Zola, who was one of the people who stood up for Alfred Dreyfus when he was convicted on a trumped-up charge of selling state secrets to the German embassy in Paris, which created a massive furore and a revolt against the state. I mean, is this what we're talking about now? I thought this was meant to be a free society. If someone wants to wear a T-shirt on any particular issue, as long as it's not a racist, offensive, illegal message that they're putting on their T-shirt, why should they not be allowed to wear a T-shirt? Now, the very fact that this person's partner was filming this, I do find a bit odd. I do find this a bit weird, to be honest. And I do think we are living in a sort of a society now where everyone wants to live their whole lives through social media as if they're in the Truman Show. I find that whole philosophy very odd. I really do. What's the first thing you do? The first instinct you have? I'm going to whip out my mobile phone and film this. Find the whole thing very strange. But anyway, the substantive point is this. Where do you think free speech is going in this country? And in particular, why has it become okay to tell people to leave their politics at home? 0345 6060 973, text 84850, ask Alexa to send a comment to LBC. I don't necessarily want this to be another phone in about the Middle East situation. I'm sure we're going to touch on that. This is about free speech. Now, do you think, put it in context, do you think that in some circumstances, for example, the workplace, where there are multiple viewpoints and people from different backgrounds, and to keep harmony in the workplace, for example, that you could fully understand why your employer might not want you to be coming in to work wearing a Free Gaza t-shirt or I Love and Stand for Israel t-shirt, for example, because they want to try and maintain some sort of decorum. You might think that, no, what's their problem? It happens on university campuses. Why can't it happen in an office space? Do you think there should be any sort of interference on this basis in the public square for a comedy show or for a concert of any kind? I mean, people were waving Ukrainian flags around, I remember, in all sorts of things. What do you think about this? What are your thoughts about this? I mean, there have been other instances where people have said you're not allowed to bring flags into particular concerts and things because you're making a political statement. But a T-shirt, really? I mean, where does this go? And what do you think about this whole SNP thing? I mean, I thought that was basically Orwellian thought policing. I really did. I mean, I thought George Orwell told us that the right of free speech and living in a democracy is the right and the ability to tell people what they don't want to hear. And what's happening to that? Is that being eroded now? I thought we were making advances in this country, not going backwards.